I'm Rick again, and welcome back to the Need to Know channel. We're moving on now to part 4, and in this part we're going to talk about a couple of what I consider to be the most important things to making your hot water heater work correctly. Okay, and that we're going to install a water filter, which is an absolute must if you've got a tankless hot water heater. We are going to install a water pressure regulator that's adjustable. Another really handy thing to have if you've got a tankless hot water heater. And we're going to, of course, put in our high flow propane regulator, which is don't leave home without it. That's all I got to say. Okay, and so why don't you just continue watching. Don't pay any attention to me. I'll just be over here. The water filter is going to filter the water before it hits the water heater, and the water heater has rather small orifices that the water goes through that we want to make sure stay clean and don't get plugged up. So we're going to get our water filter hooked up here. Smart. Unlike Nick here, you won't invite me over to help.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Because it will take you all day.
It's worth it.
All right. There we go.
Besides, there's a lot of good humor too.
It's not humor, I'm serious. It will take you all day.
Yeah, but it's all about the end product.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to be really happy with this. Everybody out there, you're going to be really happy with this if you do it. You're going to love every bit of it. So much better.
Just a test run, I don't even miss the tank anymore.
Yeah.
It is slick.
Right. You won't miss the tank at all,
nope.
Ever, either. Okay, so now I'm going to hook up this hose because I'm going to need to get some idea of where I'm going to mount this thing without putting the hose in too much of a kink. Yeah, I think it'll work.
Yeah.
I want to make sure this is good and tight. Positive is going to be going clockwise, so we'll adjust that up. And there she
it's
goes.
Moving.
Yeah, you're moving. And you're getting up and up and up and up. And it looks like we're going to hit 60. Wow. And that is actually probably higher than you want to be right there. And that's where it stops, is at 60. So you've got 60 psi worth of pressure to work with here. Now, what we're going to want to do to control fluctuation is we're going to want to take it down a little less, like 5 psi probably. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to turn on a faucet inside the trailer and drain all of the air out that we've got since we installed this. So we're going to want to turn on the faucet, and then once we have the faucet on, that pressure will come down some, and then while we've got water flowing, we'll be able to actually make an adjustment here. If we were to try to adjust it right now, for example, if I try to adjust this down, it's not going to go anywhere, right? Because we've got that static pressure on there at the top end now,
sure.
Right? Okay, so let's get some water flowing in the trailer, and then we'll come back out and adjust this.
Okay.
Now we're going to adjust this. We know that we were up around 60 psi is about what our static water pressure was. Right now we're down at about 44 psi. And so we're going to want to go ahead, we do have the water running inside the RV right now. We're going to want to go ahead and reduce this by about 5 psi. So we'll take it down. And that 5 psi worth of reduction is just going to give us what we need to avoid any minor fluctuations in the water flow. And so as you can see, as we're adjusting this, it's going down and there is, believe about 5 psi worth of decrease. At any rate, that'll be sufficient. And okay, so our propane tanks are shut off up here. We're going to replace this regulator. The reason why we're replacing the regulator is because this regulator, as actually I found this out from Nick. He informed me that the gray here is just a standard regulator. And this is a two-stage regulator, and this is the first stage. This reduces the pressure coming out of the tank down to about 10 psi. And then this is the second stage, which further reduces the pressure down to 11 inches of water column, which is about equal to 4 psi or somewhere right in that range. Okay, and that's what goes into the trailer to run all your appliances. That's what RVs generally use for all the appliances, is about 11 inches of water column. So we're gonna go ahead and replace this regulator, which is a standard regulator, with this regulator that Nick bought, which, as you can see, this is green. The second stage is green, and that is a high flow pressure regulator, which is absolutely essential if you want to run your tankless hot water heater. And the reason why it's so important is because your tankless hot water heater it demands a whole lot more propane flow, not pressure, but propane flow, than your standard hot water heater does. And so if you don't use one of these, you will have all kinds of temperature problems. You won't be able to get hot enough temperature. Your temperature will fluctuate way too much anytime any other appliances in your RV are running. So you want to make sure that if you're going to install a tankless hot water heater in your RV, that you have one of these high flow pressure regulators hooked up. So that's what we're going to do right now, is put this thing in line. And so we'll start off by our tanks are off. We're going to go ahead and unscrew here. And then we're going to extract our hoses from the well, if I can get the right size wrench on there. We're going to take our hoses off of our old regulator here. Alright, that's a really tight fit. This is a 5/8 wrench that I'm using on this, and something's telling me that there's a very good possibility that that might be a 16 millimeter metric, as tight as this fits. However, 16 millimeter and 5/8 are just about exactly the same thing. Okay, so there, we got that loose enough. It's coming off. Nice. Okay, there's one hose. Yeah, that is just really a tight fit. I wonder if I would have been better off just grabbing a crescent wrench.
Which I have lots of those.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I got one sitting right out on the table there.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, let me grab that real quick. So there's our crescent wrench, and you know what?
It'll fit
Turns
anything.
out that's exactly the right size. Much, much easier. Okay. I don't know why I had to get all fancy and pull out individual wrench sizes when you got a crescent wrench right there.
Now, sometimes those individual wrenches fit better in tighter spots.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And in our particular case, it didn't fit very well.
Right.
Okay, so there we go. But that, like so many other things, could be operator error. I'm not sure. Okay.
Sometimes.
So we're gonna. This is a quick disconnect he's got running from his large propane tank, and we're gonna go ahead and disconnect that just to give ourselves a little bit more freedom of movement here. And we're gonna discombobble this whole bracket off of here because we got to get to the back side of it. Alright. There's our regulator all off. And then I'm going to hold on to that with the appropriate size wrench, which I just happen to have one of. And we're going to see if we can spin this whole regulator off of here. And that is nice and tight, but there she goes. So, regulator off. Boom. We're gonna put some thread sealer on here.
Or they call it dope putty.
Dope putty, yeah. And we're gonna try not to get it all over everything, but the bottom line is it doesn't take a whole bunch of this stuff to make it work.
And it seals really nice.
Yes, it does. And you can use the Teflon tape on this, which is what I usually do. But we'll try this, and if it works, I might do this every time from now on. Maybe. But yeah, see, it just gathers up. And
no, experimental is definitely good. Trial and error, you can figure things out and figure what works the best.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Okay, now, the cool thing is that I got... Yeah, I actually be able to use a real wrench on that this time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
A lot more comfortable.
More better.
More better.
Okay, now that's good and snug. Like anything that you do that has threads on it, you want to make sure it's good and snug. Now you'll notice too that we've got flared fittings here, right?
Yeah.
So there's a pretty good chance that we don't even need the thread sealant on there.
Doesn't hurt.
Because the threads aren't what's doing the sealing, the flare is. Supposedly. But we'll put this on there anyway, why not?
Makes sense.
What's it going to hurt? If we seal things up too good, is that a bad thing?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, just checking. Wanted to make
we
sure.
don't want no gas leak or propane.
Nope. And I've done videos before where I repeatedly just kept saying gas, 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 gas when I was talking about propane.
It's easy to do.
Oh yeah, I know, and it's like I didn't even realize it until I was done shooting the whole video, and then I'm like, well, I'm not shooting the video over again. So I just put up a little graphic that said, when I say gas, I'm talking about propane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's on there good and snug.